I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Black History Month is important because as a race that is swept under the rug and unloved and uncared for, the least that we could do is get a month of recognition saying you're important too.
Time to focus on Black history, just like people say, why are there historically Black colleges, or other specific to minority or to historically oppressed groups, institutions, why those exist. Well, it's because we were never able to join the other institutions or be a part of those because they were controlled by racist white supremacists throughout history. A lot of those resources, and still are, controlled by people who don't want to see anything positive for minorities.
I think Black History Month is important because it's important to remember the people who really changed the country and pushed it forward, especially for the civil rights, like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and many others, like was the baseball player, Jackie Robinson. Just these great people that pushed against the quote unquote norms of the day, and they really paved the way for minorities. So I think it's very important just to remember that, just remember history in a whole, because I think a lot of times when we move forward, we tend to forget what happened in the past, which is, you can't remember what happened in the past. It's history. It happened over there. You can learn a lot of lessons from there too. So
Hispanic, raised in America, most of my friends were were Black. We went through the same struggles. We go through the same struggles right now with racism, with not being able to have our voices heard. And I feel like Black history shouldn't just be Black History Month shouldn't just be all putting together in February. It should be always in our minds.
Black History Month is very important. It's the time for us to sit back as Black people, to look at all the accomplishments and the struggles that our people went through for more than 400, 500 years in this country. Our history really isn't taught at all in schools. Our history is looked down upon in society. So it's really time for us to say, look at the people who came before us, look at what they've done for us, and we need to learn our history so we know how to go forward and improve our people and our place in this society.
Also, recently, when I was blessed to make a trip or a pilgrimage, a religious pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, where I met many people from all over the world, plus spent many weeks in Africa, trying to broaden my own scope and get more of an open mind to look at the problem as it actually is. One of the things that I realized, and I realized this even before going over there, was that our African brothers have gained their independence faster than you and I here in America have.
Malcolm X, he was, some people call him radical, some people call him crazy, because he wanted to do what Martin Luther King didn't want to do. But I feel like that's what we need now. You kind of need like a Malcolm X, someone that stands up for the people, not someone that wants to make peace with the government.
Well, obviously Martin Luther King, but I liked Martin Luther King because I liked his whole way he went about change. He was like, we're not going to go about this in a violent manner. We're going to go about this in like a loving, like protesting manner. So we're gonna boycott things. We're not gonna start these crazy riots. We're gonna he's like hold these great talks and speeches and encouraged people to like stand up for who they were, but he's like, don't be violent about it all too. And that's really important to me. And he was such a great advocate for human rights and just the human dignity, you know. So again, like, that's just all very important to me. And it's a nice reminder to be like, all right, if I want to change, if I want something to change, I can't go about it in a violent way. I can't go about it in a violent manner. I have to be smarter than the next person, which is true. That's what he said, you know, we got to go about this and we got to be smart about it. So when we want change to happen, we have to go about it in an educated and smart manner and just, you know, follow after the king. So
Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall is a very important person in Black history. And I feel as though he doesn't really get as much esteem as he should. You know, being a political science major, I love the Constitution, and he loved the Constitution too. And he saw the Constitution, he saw laws as being a way that Black people will be able to get their freedom. You know, yeah, Martin Luther King was out giving speeches, bringing people together, but he was actually behind the scenes, going to the Supreme Court. I think he did over like 32 Supreme Court appearances before he was actually on the court, building Brown versus Board of Education, landmark case. You know, he gave hope to Martin Luther King, Huey Newton, and other people to say that, oh, if the court recognizes it, we have hope to make other people recognize it as well, other people not in government. So, yeah.
I think that Malcolm X is really important to me for a lot of reasons. I think that he was the quote-unquote radical Martin Luther King, and I think that he did the things that Martin Luther King was, in a sense, scared to do but necessary. I think that Malcolm X showed people that if you want to treat us with violence and just violence and violence and violence, well, sooner or later we're going to retaliate, and it's going to be the same thing back to you. And not that you can always fight fire with fire, but I think that what he was doing was necessary, and his message was necessary. And I think that Martin Luther King came in with the whole, you know, let's play nice thing, and I think that was great. But I think that Malcolm X really showed people that when you push somebody far enough, you're going to get back what you give them.